All right, peace, peace, peace. Give a couple of moments for everyone to ask all the questions that they meant to ask the last times. I was not here last week. Um, I was on a vacation with my daughter, so try to take a little extra time to be with her, to do things. Willingly. It was not too much of a hindrance to everybody here. Um, yeah, so today's mathematics is wisdom build, all being born in knowledge add on the cipher. So whatever questions people have, whatever um, comments, insights, I'm here. I will be here till I'm gonna be here till about 8 o'clock. I'll be here till about 8 o'clock. Um, okay, so I'm gonna wait a little bit here. I want to hear some people's questions, builds. Um, but I'll be back. There's some of the gods that are here that I haven't said peace to in the other computer room. Um, but please leave your questions. We're gonna go into some things. Peace, peace. Yeah, what do we have here? Like I keep thinking of doing this, but it disgusts me. I scour. You know, I, we're supposed to be outside in the street teaching this. We're supposed to be bringing people to the classroom. That's what the law school is. The place where the students are brought. Peace, original man author, Kasim, peace. Right? Those who are in the New York City area, if you come here and build, you're going to have special time with me. Those who email me, those who build with me, they have special time with me. Peace to the God, born Rahim Allah. Thank you for letting me know the righteous name. Okay. Um, yeah, so I just want I'm walking outside and trying to see how it's applicable. The less that we teach it, the less I think there's only two ways. You teach it to people, share it to people, or you're gonna have to create things that embed those concepts in there. And I don't know. I feel like we don't have enough creators. People that 1 minute say that the Allah has no set birth record, but then don't do things because they're too old for it. You know. So these are all important. Okay, I'm looking to open up some materials here. Again, there's a lot of things I'm working on this year, but this week, obviously, I was on vacation, which means that as much as I could put on the back burner, I did. Okay, so um, as we go along, I'm going to be spotlighting certain sets of 120. I'm going to go through these little plus lessons that I make for them. They're going to be not answers, things that you should know, perspectives that one should know, um, reading materials that are crucial to sets of degrees, if applicable. I'm going to start doing that. I have it with the 1 to 36, not the 1 to 10. I have a plus lessons for Supreme Alphabet, Supreme Mathematics, and the 1 to 36. So I'm going to do the 1 to 10, and we'll figure it out from there, okay? All right, D'Anthony, peace, Dios. Okay. Again, any questions that anybody has, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Um, I think in this digital world, I think that I still feel, and I'm just putting this out there, I still feel that there's an awkwardness on social media with people building. I didn't say it's not useful, but because of the constriction of the algorithm, it's kind of only preaching to the choir, you know? And just like anything else, though, the algorithm works like the way it was in the street in some respects. You've got to bring it to people. You've got to bring people to it. You've got to suggest it. You got to walk into it. You know, I wanted to learn this, and I never came to a law school by myself, though. So even though if I was told to come here by myself, I probably would. I really think that I would, yeah. As headstrong as I was. However, it's important that people bring people to the school. If you go to Parliament, see if you bring somebody with you. And I'm saying this because I feel like people want to be taught this, and they're not being taught this. You know, they're not being shown this. But I have to watch all of these elaborate builds on social media. You know. I'm actually looking at some builds that I see on the social media, and you know, some of the gods in this cipher here that I'm building in the class here do that. Um, I will tell you that as far as the cipher in the classroom, I am at a loss here to see what is what is the application. You know what I mean? What is the application? What is the expectation? What are the things that we should be doing? You know, Charles Black, where are you from? Where are you at? Where are you at? Okay, because if you don't have anybody to bring you, then you come on a Thursday and you ask for me, and that there you go, and I will be here. Okay, Massachusetts, there are so many gods out there in Mass. 5% connection is where you want to connect to. They actually sent me an email to verify my connection, um, my my information. So they are referring people, and they've been doing a great service. So you have to find people that's there if you're in Mass. If you're in the New York City area and you don't have anybody to bring you here, then you come on a Thursday and you ask for me. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Um, if you're in the New York City area, you really shouldn't be watching me on this. you know. And again, the transition. There's a lot of stuff I don't go into in this, you know. The transition to this digital format, um, assures that I keep it general, things that are useful to who I know. When I'm in a classroom, I probe the individuals that are in the classroom, right? Every single week. So if I know, then I have expectations. If I don't, then I probe, So Yos, you said as a newborn in the '90s, the elders acknowledged me bringing another youth. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying that because we need numbers. I'm saying that because I see people that need to know this, and I regularly encounter people that say that they met people that wanted to learn this, and I'm like, well, what did you do? Like, they just say it in casual conversation. Like, you're supposed to refer them to somebody. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I don't know about the power paper. Yeah. And because of those that deal with it, I don't like to speak on it. You know, the last time I was with some of the gods, we had spoke about media on the Allah School of Mecca page in one of my classes that was on the Allah School of Mecca, and we were talking about it. I could only talk about some of the aspects, but I didn't know if the whether the prognosis of them being dissolved actually took place or not. All right. I say peace to everybody here. Divine Allah. I see divine Allah. Peace to the earth. Wisdom infinite. All right. Iman. Peace. Peace to the God King Kamal. All right. But I like to give structure to things to be as useful as possible. So people that are here tell me what they need to know, what they need to learn. As we go along, I'll bring structure as far as what I add to it. But there's plenty of plus lessons. And I want people to look at all of these class sessions as a rotation. And some of these plus lessons I taught before, teach again as a rotation. But this year I'm slowly going to make plus lessons for the other sets of 120. They're not going to be answers or um, list of understanding. They're going to be reference sheets, questions that need to be asked, important information that should be known, what you should be looking for in the degree, how to look at the whole set. I think a lot of people don't look at each set in 120. They don't look at it as, they may not look at it as a whole, and that comes late because that comes later when you have it for a long time. Like why your mind would delve and refer to specific sets and specific degrees. In reality, for a long time, we're referring to 120 by particular lessons. Maybe they are grouped up because they're so similar to each other. The 30s and the 1 to 40, especially the early 30s, maybe the 14th, definitely the 14th to the 20th degrees, because they're about who is who and teaching them, right? Obviously, there are groupings in the 1 to 10, right? Who we are, amounts, right? Population figures, land, useful land figures, the ages of spiritualities, religions, right? All right. Uh, Charles Black, wisdom build and destroy all being born in knowledge. Add on a cipher. Okay. I remember Dumont was really big on saying that the right way. Ways and actions can be positive or negative. Positive or negative woman has a relative effect to man's cipher. She can be very destructive or very helpful. Okay, this is a strong understanding, and I would say a good application. A good application. See, in general, most of the people will have the ideas of what they see as, they'll be able to do this. We're able to define this. Well, how does it go from how would it translate? Right? It has to translate into principles where wisdom build, the way that we build, has to be one of constantly adding knowledge onto the cipher, which means it's like kung fu, hard work, right? It's a constant adding on to the cipher in some way, acknowledging how to add on the cipher. How do we use these degrees daily? See, we deal with the supreme, the day's mathematics in order to learn how to focus on these principles. But then applying them, how? How is this done? Right? It's why I always have the students, and hopefully that would be everyone listening, have their own journals to write down what they lived, analyze some of their crucial moments back in time to analyze deeply, or just all that has happened. What were the flaws? What were the strong points? What made them successful? And translate that to what they are in supreme mathematics. So that supreme mathematics becomes the principles, easily demarcated with a near combination of numerals, right? Whew. The and I'll tell you something, right? Because I spend time with children a lot. They're always ready to learn things. You know? They don't have a lot of endurance when they're learning. They lose concentration and all that, but they're keen learners. When you test them, it's amazing to see what they learned. You know what I mean? They show you a lot of stuff you weren't thinking that they absorb. They actually absorb. All right, King. In the 1 to 40, you said it seems the first 8, 1 through 8, builds on things in comparison to the earth. Okay, some figures, GLI, right? Simple. We could say earth science until we get to the build degree, because then the build degree has a little bit of depth to it. 9th and 13, you said the civilized, civilizing the uncivilized, and the comparisons to moods, ways of people to the weather. That's good. It's almost like an extension of the build degree, but to the civilized in that work of civilizing the uncivilized. It's good, right? 14 through 16, right? Who the 5, 10, 85 are. Later degrees about history and nature of the devil. Also, don't forget 17, 18, 19, especially. Yeah, 20 in there, even though I'm not a fan of that degree. I'm literally not a fan of that degree. It's good, but especially the 17th through the 19th is about teaching and how to take that mantle, right? So when I go through things, I'll talk to you. These plus lessons, I may give my personal understanding, but it's not really going to focus on that. So for my personal understanding about what 1 to 14, how to me I consider it a military manual of sorts. That's not really going to be in the plus lesson I write for 1 to 14 because I don't want people to just memorize my understanding, my insights, or whatever I think it should be, right? So instead, it's going to be something more, a little bit more profound. What's going on here?
At the front door like that.
Okay. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Charles Black, you emailed me, right? I did not get. I need to send you some stuff. Listen, when you email me, you got to talk to me because I don't think people understand how many people I deal with. Whether it's students, people trying to learn, and not everybody was in the class. So sometimes many people email me that have never seen a class of mine and certainly have never been to a class physically. So I need to know about people, even if you think I just spoke to you, because I'm not going back to the email until later. You know what I mean? And it should be good, though. It should be a practice to get this knowledge that you are used to introducing yourself. Whether born in justice degrees or really, they're two of the degrees in the 1 to 14 that definitely make it, to me, military minded. You know, decisions that we make to defend, you know, to defend the society, right? Yeah. So even I think people don't see it because they might get thrown away by the last degrees, you know. But even the military, you know, the MGT and GCC, it's teaching them women how to deal at home and abroad, you know, right? Dios, you said we taught to keep our sons up at all times, check everything that enters the temple. Peace to the God.
Peace, bro.
Peace to the God. There you go. Indeed, word. Yeah. You know, got the God here. Yeah, God.
It's a science.
Just building. I was telling I'm starting to work on some things. I did it for the 1 to 36.
Okay.
I have plus lessons for Supreme Math and Alphabet. Kind of a reference plus lesson for 1 to 36. I want to make. I'm gonna do those for the other sets.
Well, like the bill notes.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
136.
So I don't want them. I want them to be like that. I don't want them to be like answers and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it was really hard to write the supreme math and alphabets, and those ended up being plus lessons that really have a lot of my core understanding.
Right.
So I don't want that to be like that in 120. But reference books, what type of books to get into for degrees, because people don't know. And I think I'm not gonna say no names though, because they know who they are, people know. But like making a curriculum, making things to learn this knowledge, they make it so rigid. You do this, you do that. That's not really adapting to the cipher that we're in now. That's very digital. It's not really in the street like that. So the average kid you're not finding in the street and stuff. You know what I mean? And even us though, like we're older. If we get older, then how do we teach the young? A lot of people don't know how to teach the young when they're older. Like they're not hip. They're not able to go into those ciphers like that.
I'm feeling like that already.
Right? Like
as a DJ.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'll be feeling like a disconnect with my own crowd, and it's like I didn't expect it to happen as soon as it did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so I could just
Listen,
imagine.
I've been on vacation like this last week, and it's still going. It's just that I had to come teach. I couldn't go 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
But and with my youngest, and then she puts on songs and shit like that, and I'm like, hey, you listen to this? A lot of songs I had to be like, you cannot listen to that.
Right.
You can't listen to that.
But they gonna listen to the shit
know?
behind your back.
Yeah. But I'm very detailed, so she knows that it's an improper song,
Right,
so she
right.
don't play it, But and then recalibrate her, so she don't like whack shit.
Yeah.
You do a lot of recalibration, But as like with my oldest too, like, they like music that you're like, this isn't the best that you could do. You know what I mean?
Or
Music is a lot like food to me. You know what I mean? Like, I see a lot of people eat cheaper food. But it doesn't mean that it's bad. But that's what you're gonna eat. Like, I'm like that. But how do we build with the youth? And I think sometimes for my life it's been different. It's been different because I have this forum here, and at the same time, though, there's a lot of things I make that go out into the world, so they introduce people in different ways to it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a bevy of ways that people get introduced and look for me. I was saying, people email me. Sometimes in the classroom, email me, and then they just write their name, and I'm like, where I know you from? Because I don't look at the emails. I'm never on time with them. I'm never up to date.
Yeah.
So sometimes people read maybe the Knowledge of Self book. They finally read that, and they saw some of the essays I put in it, or they read the Peace Course book and they got that, and that was dope, But I don't really know, so they have, unless they tell me, So I need that detail and stuff. But
Listen, y'all popping up in different type of forms and spaces. I've seen it's a video that's going around. It's like some dating type of shit where the people pop the balloons.
Right.
It's a bunch of guys or it's a girl.
Yeah.
And then, if they feeling them or not, they pop a balloon or whatever. So it was one episode where the chick had asked the dude, was like, yeah, what was the last book you read or what books you reading right now?
Yeah.
And one of the dudes said a law book, but I think he was making reference to Supreme Understanding, Knowledge of Self.
Oh, that's crazy.
You never know where the shit pop up, but it's up there. And those videos be going viral, but it has nothing to do with
exactly.
This school of thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Still made its presence. You know what I'm saying?
And like I'm around a lot of children, so youth of different ages and stuff, and it's how you teach them. Like people, so I noticed this a lot though, and this is why I don't count students. This is why I don't say, if it would, a lot of people would have more, people would be more jealous and doing even more bullshit that they do. That's
More
a fact.
troubles.
Yeah, you know, and I don't want none of that. And I never wanted it to be about numbers, but
Right.
if I teach at the school and I teach 24 years in a row, because this is the last class of March though. So by next week, it's officially 24 years. I started teaching here in April of 2000. So I'm supposed to have more students.
Right.
I was here every day.
Right.
But you know, this whole thing is like, to be a 5%er is to be able to modify and adapt the understanding and all the lessons to the needs of the individual. And so that means that a lot of the people you encounter aren't going to be in this.
Right.
I think people won't talk to anybody unless they're going to be good enough to learn this. And I think that's a disservice to humanity itself. I think that you get less students that go through 120. I'm going to say this. You get less students that go through 120 if you're building sincerely to show and prove that Allah's the God in every single way, with everyone that could use something, young, old, etc. But if you only build so you could find, you're only looking for the one that's going to be the one student you take through 120, you're not going to see everybody else that you could add on with. And in many ways, though, we're responsible for all of humanity. The crazy thing about it that always bugs me out is that, you know, Allah the Father, like, he did both. You know, he's able to find the individuals that was going to get this, but then he was able to be to the whole world. And technically, he was to the whole world more than he was to the individual student. Every single one that was with him that I ever built with, they was learning things with him. But it was the responsibility of the other firstborn and their first fruit to add on and continue to keep on going so they get all of it. So it wasn't taking people through 120 like that. That's why the firstborns were getting so much stuff, because it was supposed to branch. So now as 5%, we got to know which ways we go. And then as we get older, we go, what ciphers are we effective in? What ciphers are we not effective in? You know? And that's where you get smart. Like, who do you teach? You teach certain young, no, then what do you teach them? Like, there's a lot of young that get taught indirectly through me, because I taught certain individuals some, and then they go give it the right way that the other kids can get it. That's the way the Father taught it. You know? I could say that I could criticize the way I think people are teaching, but I don't see anybody teaching. You know? I'm not seeing them. I see a lot of social media posts, you know, about what's not being the God, what's this and what's that. You know what I mean? I don't know what that has to do with like teaching somebody, because everybody that needs to get it is doing wrong shit.
But is that how it's coming across? Because it seems like social media and online is the primary platform to teach.
Well, see, if it's the primary platform to teach, though, it's dangerous in this way. Like, not the way I remember Umar used to hate the social media. He hated everything about it, like, you know. And so he hated it so much that he didn't really know anything about it. Like, it ended up like that. But I think after like, I'm gonna say after like 2021, really after that, the vaccine came out. The vaccine's important, because once that came out, you knew that the algorithms got more oppressive. They got more, they were scrutinized more, and then more limited. So if somebody was able to continue to speak what they would speak, particularly like with the vaccine, and go against it, the algorithms are going to get smaller. So if they couldn't get taken out, the algorithm would shrink, right? And then came the term like shadow ban, which is what shadow ban means. You know what I mean?
That's the time I lost my original IG page.
Right. Yeah. That's the shadow ban stuff. Yeah. You know, or you send out posts and it gets to nobody. Right. You know? And that's the same with me. Like, yo, over the last couple of years, like, a lot of people don't know all the books I released. Like, you know? Like, what was it? I think this Sunday, like I said, I didn't have much time and shit like that, but I just shared that I released my 8th book. And people are still on the 3rd one. Yeah. You know, like, they don't even know that it's 8 books, you know? So a lot of that is the algorithm, what we say and stuff like that. And, you know, I was writing articles against the vaccine and all that too. So that didn't help me, I guess. You know what I mean? And I don't do none of those stupid challenges and buffoonery stuff. So I don't have much, you know. I'm not showing all my skin and shit. You know, you know, if you want to see the biceps or whatever, but like, I'm not really doing that.
The thirst trap.
Yeah. You know, I'm not really doing that. You know,
Man.
yeah.
So do you think we might have to eventually take it back to the streets?
Yeah, it's got to be in the streets somehow. You know, like I think people's gonna have to learn how to use this. You know, like how does hip hop go? Like we're doing shit at venues, so you're gonna say, look, we're doing this show here, we're doing that show there. We have to start making places that that people could come to. You know?
Yo, it's crazy you said that because that made me think about like even the low life culture and how they
Right.
was kind of able to withstand
these
decades and they kind of kept it alive.
But how big was those love and loyalty showcases, right?
Right.
Because it's something like you could see it online though, but when you in a pack of, you already know, guy, we in this. When you're in a pack of 100 people dressed with the flyest,
the low on
man, you're like, damn, man, like at least mine's is clean. Like you're like,
right.
At least mine's is clean because they got stuff I never even seen before. Like, you know. So it's like, yeah, we got to do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We got to do stuff like that. You know, and I think too, and I couple that with this too, as the COVID went and this school got shut down and stuff like that, it didn't get promoted for people to come back well enough. That we still suffer that since that. And I think this too, during that time, and I said it's social media because a lot of the people that have this knowledge in social media, they're the complainers about the nation. They're the complainers to say, oh, I don't do stuff at the school because the school has this and the school has that. And it's all baby stuff. You know, it's all baby stuff. If you didn't come to school because me, Sunez, I say 5% nation of gods and earths. I use all of it so people know what we are to everybody and there's no confusion. But you're still on we only say 5% nation and stuff like that. And we only say that because that's, you know, then you're being a baby because when you say, like, for example, when you say only 5% nation, a lot of 85 get confused. They're like, oh, that's the Muslims. Because they know that the NOI uses the 85.
That's what the lesson is.
5 and 10. They got that. And they say that. So you're actually not helping. It's not a pedagogical build. You're taking away your agility in this. You know what I mean? But if that's the reason why people won't understand you, that's weak to me, man. That's people that quit. And I really feel like my age group, there's supposed to be a barrage of people my age building.
Right.
But when you come here regularly, it's Dark Him and me.
Right.
You know, dark him, me. Dark him. Dark him, me. You know, like it's like that. It's really like that. Right? Nice, you know, the guy's Monday, the guy's Tuesday, you know. He'll take a Thursday if I'm not here. He probably, you know. Right. If I tell him, he'll be on it. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't know, we have to do stuff. Like I'm trying to look at it outside. It is very easy for me to get people to build. Like it's very easy to me to attract students. I'm trying to catch up. Other people, I don't see them with nobody. But I see builds, I see their builds on stuff, and I'm like, God's used to live in different places and stuff like that and not be on the social media. They used to have a whole, you know, they build up the whole community somehow, some way. And not everybody's the same. Not everybody could stand in a corner and attract people. That's not everybody, you know. But where do you build? Where do you do it? Where do you go through? You know? Like I was telling my daughter, like, most people don't understand me, and people that criticize me, like it's usually family, they don't really understand. I'm like, they can never understand the life that I'm living because they never did community work. They never did something for someone else that wasn't giving you a paycheck. Right. And let alone only work jobs that are fruitful to the community. A lot of people won't do that, but a lot of people can't because, you know, people have to work bullshit jobs, and that's just what it is. Right. You know? But if we're teaching the kids, there has to be something that you give to the community. man, when I saw it and I thought about revolution, I was like, this knowledge is the most important thing. I really made that judgment. So then how you give it though? Like we do community work, go out in the community, do something in the community. And they say, look, who are you? Now, I'm doing this, I'm a 5%. I'm this and that. You know, wear your flags, go by the name. You know, go by the name, you know, right? When I'm out there teaching, if I'm teaching martial arts, I said, I'm Sunez, man. Like people, they don't know. I'm not using the honorable name, you know. So it's a lot of things, you know, because in this digital classrooms here, people have to contact me. A lot of people here are older. A lot of people on here are older. You know what I'm saying? So they have to find a way to connect and stuff. They can't just be observing and analyzing.
Which I feel is a very interesting thing in regards to the whole history of the nation. It seems as if during this time you're getting more newborns that's like actually older, self-included. You know what I'm saying? And I think it kind of feels like my generation and other generations, you know, right before mine, it's like we kind of got left back in something. You know what I mean? Right. And we trying to catch up and figure it out. And I think maybe once we get that class situated and we all go through 120 and get our pins and all that, we could attract the younger generations that's under us. But it's a lot of new students that's in our degree. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's part of it too.
The way I look at it, like with the old rules, you know what I'm saying? And I remember when I came here, they told me, look, well, how old are you? And I was like, that's how I was 23.
Right.
And they're like, man, you old.
Right.
Like I was old. But they was with me because I came with things. I was a writer already. I haven't eaten pork in years. I was already vegan by the time I came for years. They was like, man, they ain't gotta go teach me none of this stuff.
Right.
They could send me out running. And that's what they did. And that's why I got taught to teach here as opposed to just do something. Right? But everything you could do in this nation, it was put me under to do it. Write this, write that. I was in a law school in Mecca board. Right? I was a secretary for years. Right? So made newspapers for the nation, obviously, right? So it's like, if you don't know what community work is, then people got to come to the school and learn what that is. You know, they got to come to the school and learn what that is, because when I got knowledge, we would stay here. We would be doing things in the community. We would be connecting with them. We'd be walking the blocks here. You know, like we really lived here. Like when I got knowledge, I was really living here. Like I was here all day. I just went home to sleep, and then I was back here, you know? And it was like that for a whole year, 1990, the whole 1999, like that. From May to the end the end of the year when I got my flag, you know what I mean? So it's got to be like that somehow. And I'm saying that community work is a way to do that. You know, if you're older, then you got to think about this. How do you connect with the youth? Is it your works? Is it the way that you share with people? Right? Is it your demeanors and everything? You know? Because it's also something that could be left behind and adjusted. Not totally left behind, but adjusted. The way this nation was always about the young only and the hell with anybody older. I don't always agree with that. I think in the maturity of this nation, we could teach all age groups. But it's like how all the age groups would be.
That might have been a disservice then when it was, you know, sticking to.
Might have been. When I was the years where I was getting announced, I saw many people that were older get turned away. Like if you was 30, you was getting turned away. There was many guys that nobody was saying nothing to them. Like I would be there and I was like, man, this guy could be a good learner. Like you could tell, you know, and I've been here so long, I could tell who could learn. But they would like, a lot of times people, I'm gonna say, a lot of times people want to flex the power. They want to utilize the power. And if you were older and you could flex that power, nobody could tell you anything. Nobody could say, hey, that guy could have learned and stuff like that. No, he's too old. And all you have to do is repeat the mantras. Babies are the greatest. This is for the nation. This is for the young. You know, like, and then now you could just kick out people that might be a good student and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then it was really when I used to build with Savior Knowledge. You know, he had built with Sekou, who was a real scholar. He passed away recently, returned. And he said, he came to me, he said, you know why? And I was with Sekou and Savior. He said, I teach Sekou because when I teach anybody that's older, they gotta have something that they can bring to the nation. Of course, Sekou was like selling the books on 1-2 Fed.
Right.
He really knew many of them. He knew Dr. Ben, like he was with these people. So he was like, if you hang with him, you was getting jewels.
Right.
He was getting jewels about all the books, you know? Like him and Savior, when they sold books, and they really knew what was in it though. Like they would crack it open and show you passages and everything like that. It wasn't like they just had this shit there. Like they really knew the books, you know? And so like if you're of a certain age though, then how do we build with you? You know? So you gotta think about what are you getting it for? Like if you get it for your children, that's peace. You know what I mean? Because we see the way it's gonna go across, you know? If you're not gonna get it for your children, because let's say you have I built with some older people that they had children, but they're like, nah, my children ain't gonna get it. They too old already too. Like they saw the children already old in the mind. Like the children might have been in their early 20s or something. And they was like, man, that children ain't gonna get it. And I'm like, damn, like
That's crazy.
that's telling me a lot about everything. You, your relationship, everything. Right? It is. It just is. There's no way around that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when you get the knowledge, and if you're that old, if you're older of that age, that's just the way it is. Like that's what happened. You know, you might be of the age where you had so many run-ins with your kids and stuff. By the time they grew up, they were like, man, I ain't trying to deal with none of it you got to tell me.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Because my parents didn't teach. Obviously, my parents didn't teach me the knowledge of self. I learned it myself. When I learned it, I was like, I ain't got nothing for me. And I spent years without even dealing with them. You know what I mean? And people don't know the thing. Like people talk about sports with me and shit like that. I like baseball, basketball, football too. I'll mess with football still. I don't really watch games because it's like one day and I always miss that day. But through the whole 2000s, when I was learning to teach here and I was getting this knowledge and teaching it, I didn't watch any sports. I didn't watch any sports. I just never did. I was like, man, I every day I would be like, and I'm still like that. I'd be like, man, I don't know enough. Shit, anybody could walk in here. Anybody could walk in here, and I don't know. Yeah, you have to get sharp. So it's like, how are we gonna do that? How do we share this knowledge, though? You know, like if you're not gonna be the God, if you're older and you're not connected with the youth, then how are you gonna show and prove your God? You got to be that all around. You got to be well enough to do it, you know? And that's what I'm saying. Like, I say this a lot, but people don't listen. Like, people want to be the God and they don't really know. You just go out on the street, you teach people the knowledge, but like, sometimes you need to learn how to connect with a community. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't know how to do it, do some community work. I got into the knowledge the other way. I was on the radical revolutionary side doing, in the protest and activism like that. Yeah. So I already knew the gateways into community work. You know what I'm saying? If you get this knowledge, most people don't. A lot of people that get this knowledge, they're actually not through the community all the time. A lot of people that are doing community work, they think they know all the answers. It's about class. It's about class. And race is just lumped into that, but it's about class economics and stuff, and they're on that tip, so they don't see it that way. When you get the 5%, when you get a young brother, the majority of young brothers are people that they're secluded, they're in their own world because they're like, yo, everything's different, and I don't know, none of this is right. So when they get this knowledge, they wasn't really connected. They're not as connected as you think. They're more withdrawn in their mind in certain respects. So they have to learn how to touch back with the community. You get knowledge yourself, and then now you're looking down at them. See, I knew there was a shit. 85, blind, deaf, dumb, slaves of a mental death power. We're not supposed to respect slaves. You know what I'm saying? And especially, Black Americans who are made to be more connected. Because they telling them, you slaves, that's your history, you slaves. Everybody else was, but they telling them every day. They see that degree, They're like, man, I ain't that. They use a slave. You know, use a slave in mental death and power. You know what I mean? Animal eater. You know what I'm saying? Like you just, you know, poison animal eater. All of that stuff. Even as they eating poison animals, but then they're eating different poison animals.
Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. Right? But you know, the thing is, you got to catch your mentality when you get this knowledge. You know, your levels of arrogance, all that kind of stuff. Yo, it has to happen though. Listen, I got knowledge, right? And I already did shit in hip hop, so you know I'm already arrogant.
Right. But see, I feel like that's
right.
I hope nobody's listening to that's where the power, refinement.
Right. Yeah. Because you gotta focus it to the right thing. You can't just blare it out. You know, people out here like Cyclops. They're just, you know, blaring. You know, but I was already doing hip hop, and then by the time I came here, I already thought I was the best writer ever. There's all ego and not much to the work yet.
Right.
You know? But then we're getting this knowledge. I'm the God, we're walking out, and then we're learning Kung Fu too. And we're walking around with weapons in the street.
Yeah, already.
Spears and poles and swords and man, we're doing Kung Fu movies, we're bugging out. the ego is ridiculous though. The ego, like our heads are mad big. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like yo, we would really. Look. If people saw me in the 2000s, I wore gis all the time. So I either wore my suit when I was teaching, but if it wasn't Thursday, I was here with a gi, Kung Fu stuff, and we'd be doing this shit all the time. You know, we would train every Saturday in the summer from 12 to 7. At Mount Morris though, and that shit used to get hot though, and we would have to do push-ups, all that kind of stuff on the floor, and it would be burning. The cement would be on fire, you know. But that's what we was doing, so we had the ego because we was putting in the work, so we felt we were entitled with that. You know what I'm saying, right? But how do you end up giving back? You know, and I think that people should get that experience of how it is to give back. I keep telling it. I say that to all the young, like, see if you could go, you know, people go, I'm not going to no rallies. That's not revolution and stuff. Do one of those. Because people say no to this, right? But it depends on what you're saying. But a lot of stuff affects people's minds and shit. A lot of it, and sometimes it doesn't cause change, but it educates. Like, for example, right? They're still bombing the hell out of Gaza, and it's disgusting, right? But man, did you ever see such more powerful education on it than before? With the social media, with all the visuals. Man, I've been studying this thing for years, though, and reading all the history for years and how horrible it is. And this is not really different. It's just more extreme in what we're seeing.
Right.
But we never got that much education like that. Where like now I see people that they're not revolutionary in anything. And they say, oh, it's so sad what's happening in Gaza. Like, man, you didn't.
Palestine,
you never cared about Palestine and none of those Arabs and nothing like that. But now you've seen it, you know. So this is important for education. You go, so you try a rally or this and that, you know, and they're different. I've been in rallies that became violent, you know, with the cops came, we had to rustle out and get out. But then at the same time, though, there's ones that are just really like, yo, we're just how it feels to make a stand. Right. Sometimes it's good to feel how small you are in that power, like how much work you got to do, you know, and think about that. And I'm saying, like, if we don't do that, we're not going to see, because the Father, he knew that, and he had more people than everybody. So he had more than Black Panthers. There was more gods than Black Panthers at one time, right? Mao, all these groups, Young Lords definitely, right? More, you know what I mean? He's, like I said about Mount Morris, he was filling that up. Yeah. I mean, that's a big place, guys. Like, if you're filling that up, you got like a few hundred. You got a few hundred, you know? All young soldiers, though. Like, it's crazy. So we got to do, if you're young, if you're older, though, guide your youth to some community work. Guide them to a more righteous. You say, oh, they're not going to get the knowledge that the Black man is God or the Black woman is God. then teach them that there's no mystery out there. You know what I'm saying? Right? Settle for agnostic or you know, something else. Right? Then you see, listen, okay, right? Get him out of the mystery God. Get him to think like, yo, never settle with the mystery God. Whatever problem you have, it's never going to be in Jesus' hands, you know? He's not going to take the wheel for anything. Nobody's driving anything. You know? That concept is how really why it's so easy for me to teach so many white people. Because I'm like, it don't matter. Yo, I can show and prove that you're not the true and living God. Right? Show and prove the destructive nature of your general race, like everything horrible. Give me your ethnicity and we give it specific to that one. But there's no mystery God. So none of those ancient devils are going to help you. Right. There's no future devils. There's no devil in the sky. Nothing's going to help you. So if you want to change things to be more righteous, then you got to do the work. You know, they've got to be a rebel. That's why I used to call the white kids the greatest rebel, because they got to go against their nature. Mm-hmm. And they got to go against the privileges. They got to go against all of these things to actually deal with that. But we got to do something. We have to put, if we don't have the community work in the nation, then we got to go and do some of it. We got to bring culture to the people. We got to bring the music. We got to bring the activities. All of these kind of things. They're crucial, you know? If we're better at building families, then we got to build families more. We got to do more family things, you know? Let it be through that, you know? That's why if you know, some of the most important parliaments that people don't really realize is the summer parliaments in Medina. The family day, because those are where everybody comes through and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Peace. So that's what's important there, you know? Let me read some of these. Look at these. Peace.
Peace, God.
All right. Dude, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
What's the science, man?
You're from California.
Peace, God. Peace to the God.
Peace. Good to see you.
All right. Likewise, God.
Peace.
Yeah, look, Infinite Mind said here, he said, we used to walk with chain whips, metal fans, hiding butterfly swords in our shirts or book bags. Yeah, man. We really used to walk like that. You know what I mean? Me and Infinite Mind, we used to always have the geese and everything, man. I'd have the blue geese. My favorite was the blue one. I remember Infinite Mind had the all-white joint. Yeah, this is peace, God. Yeah, King, you said you don't agree with the age thing because that older person with knowledge can plant the seed for a young God with the knowledge to water it, right? Yeah. New album out, Elements, EP by Zul 7. Yeah, that's Get With the Gods. That's the Gods. Okay. That's here and out in Latin America, South America. Yeah, so it's bilingual. Infinite Mind is part of that crew. Yeah. So it's out now though. It's on all the streaming platforms and stuff. Wisdom Infinite Earth said, I remember being part of a Big Sister, Little Sister program when I was in middle school. And she gave up on me when she saw I lacked interest. We can't afford to do that. Yeah, that's big right there. Divine Allah asked Peace, during Allah's era, there were other black leaders around teaching youth. What did he offer different that the nation is still going strong? And what was the ideal setting for the academy? There's a good question. From everybody I built with that was with the Father, right, is that he gave them real-time results. See, when you talk about revolution, Black Panthers and all these other groups, Young Lords too, there's an idealism. So the possible future that is right and exact is often an abstraction, right? Is when we take over as the proletariat. We've got to get to that point. And technically, we ain't even seen that point yet. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm from that radicalism, you know what I mean? So I'm with all of that, you know? However, when the Father was building, he was like, listen, there's no abstract endpoint when he's talking. You're the true and living God. You're the true and living God now. So he's already leaped them to an endpoint that doesn't exist in anyone else's mind. So the abstraction is actually real. The true and living God now.
That's the difference.
It's an era. He said during Allah's era. The era of Allah's era is civil rights.
Right.
They're fighting for civil rights, for people to legally deal with other people civilly. That means that you deal with people humanely because the law is requiring it. You do as little as you can. That's what civil rights means. You do as little as you can, though. Tolerate. I can't spit on him. I can't do it. The law says that. You know, I can't kill him. I can't noose. I can't hang him. The law says that. We do that, right? It's not even human rights. It's not even human rights. There's no compassion for the individual. None of that stuff is being asked for. And he goes past all of that. He skips human rights. He skips everything. And he says, you're the true and living God. You caused all this to happen. And so you're the only ones that could change all of this. But how? Then he takes it out of abstraction, though. It's basic. Basically, them just dealing with it like that. In other words, you're the true and living God. So what does man do? Since man is God, what does man do? So in other words, the things that God would do is not an abstraction either. It's like, well, God was man all the time. It's been the black man all this time. So what does the black man do? We just do it better. We make babies better. We build better. We learn better. We go teach better. So there's nothing new in it. So it becomes something that somebody could be this. And here's the thing. Somebody could be this without being there. You know, I finished reading a powerful autobiography of Felipe Luciano, right? He was one of the young lords, right? Became a reporter, did a lot of stuff. And he wrote his autobiography, and it was about those years. It didn't go past it. It was just about those years. To be in the young lords and stuff was really intense, but you still had to kind of be there. You had to be with the group all the time. Now the gods, we got to be with the gods, right? We got to come with the gods and that stuff, right? But if you ever take notice, the way I was taught, every single elder was like, you know, we're all building here, but we're not really teaching you to use us as like a battery pack. You're really supposed to be where you at. We're supposed to be building where you at. Here. When I was in Knowledge Means class, Remembered in Perfection, my enlightener, man, he said, Sunez, you're a writer, right? This is 1999. He goes, you're a writer. I said, yeah, I'm a writer. I'm an editor too. I edit things. He said, you gotta make a newspaper. Man, this is not like now where you could just make stuff. Like, I'm like, how the hell am I gonna do that?
Yeah, Sunez.
Peace, God.
Pardon me. Beneficent said that you get the email from the Earth.
Yes, I did. I'm backed up, but I'm gonna get to it.
Oh, man, you heard him? He's backed up.
I told you I'm back. They calling, checking on me. I told you. Like I said, I was on vacation last week, and I'm still on vacation because I still have her with my kid, and I'm like, I can't miss 2 weeks. I was like, you know what I mean? But the thing about it though is like everything, you know, like Knowledge Me, he's like, yo, you make a paper and stuff. And then it was the God Day Son that brought me to a law school. And we was writers. He was in different magazines. I was there. We met in the college. And then he brought me here because I was writing a column in college and saying I was God and shit. I was saying all types of crazy shit. And he was like, yo, you the God? And I was like, yeah, I'm the God. And I was like, yeah, you got to come to the school. I said, school for this? I'm just saying this shit out of ego. If the rappers can say it that I'm analyzing, I can say it. So I was like, you know, and I'm like, I'm learning too. I'm learning like, yo, with Puerto Rican and our history. And I'm like, yo, I'm black too. I got this blood, you know what I mean? Right? So when the father's teaching, right? It's about what Nazmi, let me finish Nazmi thing. He tells me to make a newspaper. You know what I'm saying? And obviously me and Dayson, we go to work though, because man, we took funds, we sequestered funds from the college we was at, and we made the paper, you know,
Right.
by any means though, because I ain't have the money to print all that. You know what I'm saying? And we laid it out there because I didn't have the computers to lay that out either. You know? So the thing is that you had to just be what you are and be what you are to a most high level. So nothing was ever out of reach. You go to you ever in a radicalized cipher, it's like you're building to get somewhere that you're definitely not at. You right? Please God.
Coming on vacation.
Indeed, I was. And you know, you're building with all the capabilities that you're identifying in yourself. You know, and it mirrors. To me, it mirrors martial arts, like me and Infinite Mind did and everything, and a lot of the gods did the martial arts. Because when you do the martial arts, though, if I'm this height, right, I'm 5'4", right. The future martial artist isn't going to be 5'10". You know what I mean? He's not going to be 5'10". He's not going to need to get. I'm not going to have to add 50 pounds. You know what I'm saying? It's the way that I add the muscle. It's the way the distinctions, but they're all going to be me. It's going to be my expression. It's the same thing with this knowledge. With the other revolutionary groups, there's a future that is abstract that they are not there yet. I have to become the soldier. And like with the young lords, especially in Felipe Luciano's books, he was of the street, so he knew the street fighting. He was locked up, so he was used to fighting, defending himself, and channeling that to how to defend yourself as a soldier for the people. But a lot of the other guys, geniuses too, like a Juan Gonzalez, who became a great writer. Some of his books are essential. Yes, his News for All the People is a thick book about the history of media, newspapers, all of that, but regarding original people, Black, brown, indigenous. So he talks about how newspapers originated as being a sheet of information to track indigenous tribes. That's what newspapers started as, you know? And he gives you that information there. It's a great book. But back then, I don't even if he became that, but back then, you know, he wasn't like a fighter. They're Ivy League. The revolution is a theory. You know what I'm saying? Right? And in America, it's harder to get it into practice than it was, let's say, Fidel, who was extremely well-schooled, but slid right into it. You know, slid right into it. Because in Fidel's history, he was the opposite. They were trying to get him out of the front lines. Because they were like, yo, you're the one that's commanding us. You can't be doing that. He was running out there and, you know, he was like, there was a lot of moments where he could have got bodied. Like, he was really not supposed to be doing all that, right? But that abstraction is the major difference to me. And when people, let's say they don't deal with the knowledge anymore, these truths, they're hard to get away from. They're hard to get away from. I've met many people that had this knowledge and didn't live it out like the way we do. Like, we're in this nation, we come in the name. But there's certain things that they can't not do. You know?
Like what?
Many of them, they still don't eat pork though. Many of them know they're not going to be as religious. They're not going to hold religion over. They're going to skip the religion. They're going to adjust the religion. You know what I'm saying? And it makes the youth, because I've taught many children of people that were given the knowledge, but didn't deal with it, and then sent them to me here. So it's like, it lasted so long because it was really a culture. This really is a culture. People worrying about, like, the people that don't stick with this, a lot of times they turn it into school. Like, I don't want to remember the lessons. I don't want to remember quoting days, and I feel like I'm going to be having to get answers and give answers and stuff like that. But the people that live with it, they're realizing, like, yo, if I look at this and study it a little bit more, other things keep coming up more simple. You know, I seem to let things go. Like, people, like, when I'm teaching people the knowledge, and like especially this generation got it. All my 20-year-olds, all of them, they need the couch, God. Like their classroom seat is more of a couch. You know what I mean? Like they need to talk about everything that's going on. They're not sure if they could, you know.
I'm sure I'm kind of like that too.
You know, and it's a thing. It must be infecting. It must, right?
Yeah, man.
It's a thing, right? But you know, one thing that I find interesting is that when you talk to them, right? Every time you talk to them, and you see that the things that they think that they can't do, right? They first start, and this is all, but more so now, because I think many of the students I end up teaching in their 20s now, they're more expressive of their thoughts and feelings.
Right.
There's definitely a more thoughts and feelings detailed generation, you know, like you gotta explain all your emotions like to the T. Like a lot of times, like if we feel something, we just, man, that ain't gonna help me. We keep moving. But when they do this, they still have the same issues that we had, maybe. Like the white man's the devil. They keep bothering me. The devil. What we gonna do about the devil? All this kind of stuff, right? But if you start looking at the lessons as a life thing, as a culture thing, you're gonna start to see it. Look, they tell me about all these devils doing stuff. For example, right? Devils did this at my job, or they had me go through this at my school, and I'm like, but that experience is just showing, proving a degree. Like imagine you got the lessons, God, and then all white people was not doing devilishment. You'd be like, I don't know, Sunez, this shit is not. This white folk be good to me, you know what I mean?
Right.
And there's no original person that has had all good experiences. And I'm talking about like, if you're really aware, every single person to me has had one, not just racist experience where you say something ignorant, but something where you were oppressed, something that was kept from you because of their whiteness. You know what I'm saying? Something that you were restricted from, some type of white privilege that you saw that took you out, that took your spot where you legitimately should have been adding on. If you're not aware, you wouldn't notice it though, you know? But these degrees, when you're looking at them, they're applying. So you either look down on the people or you realize, oh, we was one of them too. And more so. So I tell more so. Because I get sometimes this too, like, yo, I was born in it because my father. Nah, you could do devilishment too. You could do 85. You could end up in any of these chambers here if you're not right. And looking at people like you look at yourself, they're all dealing with levels of mistakes. You're just more aware of how these mistakes play out. Right? So this is the thing. And I went through this whole thing to answer the thing about the era. It's the era. I love the era. You know what I mean? I think it's the most amazing era. You know, that era of the father, and then, you know, it coincides with everything, right? Then you get the 70s and all the music. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because that's the greatest era of music to me. Like, I think the 70s has the most incredible music of that many genres. So we could argue 50s because you had jazz at peaks in the 50s, but you had soul, salsa, you had merengue was popping too. You had, if you really dig to everything, reggae. I mean, come on, this is roots. Bob Marley's career is in the 70s, like roots reggae, like everything. There's way more genres that are peaking in the 70s than any other era that you talk about them. You know what I mean? Right? Funk. I didn't even mention the funk. You know what I mean? Because you got to separate that from soul, and that gives you another one. Jazz was really great in the 70s too. Not sleeping, you know? So everything, the blues was dope in the 70s. There's a lot of great blues. It was everything was powerful. Rock was good, right? You had the Led Zeppelin, you had all that, right? I was telling somebody like, yo, people argue like rock is just black music and it's really black music. So listen, I don't get mad because those whites were more creative with what they took from the blues and made that than the white kids that are doing rap.
No, that's a fact.
Right? Because when you hear rock, like you hear Led Zeppelin, it sounds very different from the blues that they were singing. Right? It don't sound the same. But not this rap though. They sound like us though. Like it's, you know? So the variation is less. We complained and it got worse. It got worse, you know? But it's important to see these errors though, because how can we apply it to make it strong now? You know what I'm saying? people like to say we're not popular, this and that, because the music, it happens like that with all genres though. Every genre is gonna hit a peak. Like that's like, it's like saying that jazz is jazz is dead. You could have been saying that since like what 1960 something, like like after Coltrane dies, you could say that, right? Because maybe avant-garde peaks and you don't know where it's gonna go, right? But there's still great jazz all the time. You can find, because I'm always digging. So the thing is, how do we apply those things to make the way? So we need people now to be better and more astute using the social media, being able to build, but also show things. So I see people build on social media, but I don't see people creating on social media. When I teach a student, I'm teaching every student here, every student in the classroom, every student I build with outside. You're the true and living God. I'm not very impressed if you're going out building and speaking about what this means, that means, and other things like that. Some of us will be like that. You know what I'm saying? Right? Obviously, in my life, as a teacher, as a writer and stuff, obviously the philosophies are a thing with me, right? But a lot of gods is going to reach their peak and really add on if they have creations. Try to create. Try to live more. It's like The Art of Worldly Wisdom by Balthazar Gracia. He said that to be a writer has to do three things. He separated them in like life periods, which is the only disagreement I have. I think it overlaps and blends all times. He said you have to learn from all of the past, meaning you have to read a lot of other books, right? You have to go out and live, and then you have to spend time writing about everything that you lived. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And I feel like a lot of us, when we're building about this knowledge, I don't know if those are real-time notes. You know what I mean? Are those real-time notes from like this day of going out there and doing this? Because when I build, they're real-time notes in the classroom, outside of the classroom, people calling me, the youth I'm always around, the youth I work with, like it's all these different things and different levels that I teach them the true and living God. They're not always going to know, oh, he said he's a true and living God. No, they're going to see the levels of righteousness, the way you comport yourself, this and that. All of this changes people. You know what I'm saying? All of this changes people. They need to see all of that. But we need to engage more, All right, let me see what I missed here. I still. Peace to the God, self-magnetic. All right, God, I did write something, but I gotta record it. Yeah, Geraldo Rivera. Yeah, he was a young lord too. Felipe Luciano actually doesn't have he had a good relationship with him, but he said he did something really foul. He explains it in the book. I don't want to ruin the book. It's such a great book. But it fouled him to, like he did some unethical stuff, But Felipe is honest that he messed up and he ended up, getting ousted for something he did. But it was personal, like personal relationships and stuff. But they was very military minded. So like, for example, in his case, right? And then he wasn't the only one, but they advocate that you definitely can't be cheating and dealing with women that are cheating. So like you can't sleep with women that have a husband, things like that, right? You can't be engaging in those kind of things. Why? Because it's bad for the revolution. The community will see it, and they're not going to be in tune with that. You're going to cause confusion, right? You're going to cause confusion. What if that guy comes to the place and like, yo, who did this? You guys are just ruining homes. And of course, this is the 60s and stuff, right? So when you did that back then, you really are ruining homes because, families, they stayed together through a lot of things. Now, not like now, we're like, oh man, I can't stand you eating cereal like this in the morning. It's a divorce. Everybody's Seinfeld now. You know what I mean? Right? He sees her legs and stuff. He sees her foot. He's like, I don't know. like boomerang, like right. You divorce him just because he got messed up toes and stuff, Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. Wisdom, Infinite Earth, MCs on, MCs sent me her new album. I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet, though. But I am soon. I'm excited to listen to that. Backward Sweetie, do an analysis of Backward Sweetie. That's her MC name. Yeah, when you see the story that Felipe Luciano shares about Geraldo, it's exactly some 10% stuff. So it's like you could see it there. You know what I'm saying? You could see it there. That's crazy.
He probably was an agent, handpicked.
Yeah, he was a lawyer. He was a young lawyer. He's a lawyer, so he was helping them all out with the law and everything. But double agents, they have to embed themselves, and he did some real stuff. Like he saved Felipe Luciano one time from the law, like physically from the law. Like him being a lawyer saved him. He was about to get shot by the cops. So like if they are. But I also think this, in my experience, though, especially in hip hop and seeing so much, I've seen people sell out that wasn't really on that in the beginning. Like you don't know what their heart when they see that money, then or the possibilities, the ease of things. Some people sell out because it's easier to go with that wave, and it'll be easier to have a career. Most people aren't even selling out. Like they go, I sold out for the bag. There's no bag. There's no, this is not like, a leprechaun with a big bag at the end of the rainbow. They're just selling out because it seems like I'll have a consistent pay, and that's something that everybody has to grip with, right? In this world, right? We all have to grip with that, choices that we make like that, just as more devious though when you're doing art. Yeah, Infinite, you said there's also such an amazing philosophical idea that comes through self-styled wisdom that allowed the Father taught, which was so different from other so-called revolutionaries of the 60s. Yeah, that's a great point, God, because the way that people talked in the 60s was really analytical and based off analyzing the concepts, Marxism, Leninism. They were analyzing class warfare and things like that. So it was very, collegiate. So the more deeper you got, the more collegiate it got. And then they just try to apply it to the individuals in that, And even like with the young law, since they're fresh on my mind in that book, that made it difficult for them to hit the community sometimes too. Because like, let's say, for example, the first church that they took over, because they took over the first church that they took over, the guy they were asking if they could just serve food through the church. And the guy was like, nah, because you guys, the way you guys talk, you sound like Fidel and you sound like the Cubans. Because it was a Cuban pastor that was anti, right. Because he was, they're on the capitalism stuff. So they was like, I ain't with all that stuff. I'm Cuban. I ain't dealing with that. So they was anti. So they didn't give him the church. And then that's what led him to the church. You know what I mean? So, So the language was like that. Black Panther language, definitely was about class and race, you know what I'm saying? And that mixture and the concepts, like what is really the problems in society? The Father wasn't with that. Like it wasn't that he didn't agree. It was like, it doesn't matter. If you know you're the true and living God and you just what's the most basic? He took it to the most basic level. That's why it was so easy to teach. Everybody got curriculums. They had all these places as political education classes. Father's like, we're thinking 120 is hard though, but think about the foundation: knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Right? The 10 numerals, supreme mathematics, and you're seeing things just through that. You gave people the perfect. He made the perfect pedagogical tool. So as an add-on, because of that, he's also teaching people faster than, let's say, you could radicalize somebody, because you got to teach a lot of history. You can radicalize somebody, Like you can't just say like, cops is trying to kill you, man. Like that's not radicalism. You can't just say that though, because we all know that we're oppressed and they just don't like us. So they just like, no, they don't like us because we look different than them,
Yeah.
And for most blacks, right? Most of our people, we actually think we're uglier than them. That's a fact. That's a fact. We think we're uglier than them. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes it makes sense. It's messed up. You shouldn't be doing that, but they kind of rationalize that. They understand why. And that's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a true 85 mentality. But to radicalize people, like how this is a whole consistent economic reality for years and years and years, and how the structure of the world works, that has to be combated. That's always had to be educated. In Latin America, when they do it, they call the groups focas, and they have to get the peasants together, because peasants don't know about what the multinational corporations are doing. Right. They just get raped by how are they getting raped? It's not corporations in suits coming down there and say, hey, get those crops, right? It's people that look like them that have been hired to go shoot them up, and you better get these crops. They don't know where any of this stuff goes. They don't know how it works. They don't know the whole, assembly line. So they have to be educated about that. That's why, like, when Che Guevara went to the other countries, he had difficulties. He had difficulties. It helps sometimes when the populace, though, happens to be very well educated or decently educated, and the Cuban population happen to be more educated, better educated than other populations. He went to the Congo, and people were like, "Oh, Che didn't really bring revolution to the Congo because he was racist." Yeah, he was there. And I'm sorry, but he was light, and he went to the Congo to try to start revolution. Like, you gotta give him props for that though, because he's not blended in on any level.
How racist could he be if he went there?
To be doing that, right? Like, I'm going there to do that. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't take though, because they didn't know enough about the way the people's culture was. Same thing when they went to the other countries, though. The peasants weren't ready; they were scared. And sometimes the success of revolution is counter propagandized as fear. Like, you saw what happened there; they ruined their whole life, and now they're poor. They don't have this. You get counter propaganda. And the U.S. is super at that. That's their trade. It's counter propaganda. But then we speak a certain way. We start speaking a certain way. Nobody speaks. Then it starts to infect the way that we speak about everything. Now it affects the way that we view everything. Listen, I do everything with the knowledge, though. I'm speaking mathematics myself all day. When I'm training, when I'm this, you know what I'm saying? Everything. I make a mistake. Oh man, come on, Sunez. You can't be with the knowledge.
Right.
I do the knowledge better. Like, right? Everything, So we're constantly on that mathematics, so it becomes a culture, and it infuses into everything. And it's not just about spelling things with the alphabet. You know what I mean? It goes deeper than that. But those who are new, they want to, they want to make a coded language. That's not really what we was doing. The Father didn't really code the language. A lot of people learned about what he was dealing with, and they didn't even know how profound it was. If you ever read, right, if you read The Mayor's Man, right, by Barry Gothard, who was the deputy mayor that was assigned to the Father, he didn't really learn like all the 120, nothing like that. He just learned that the Father was God. So when he wrote about it, I guess when he wrote about it, he felt foolish writing about it, or his editors were like, "You keep saying, man, it's God," shit like that. So it kind of makes it look like he had a delusion for good, even though he thought he was God. Like Kris Kringle, he really believes he's Kris, but he's gonna give gifts to the kids. And when he wrote about the Father, right? When he wrote about the Father, all he could keep talking about was like his command of everybody around him, and his consistent command of what he was gonna do. He never felt like he was thought out, like he was a little confused about what he was gonna do, and he was always content and never seemed to be in a rush to get it done. You know, those things impacted him. Because that's how he described the Father. It was very, very interesting. It's too bad that that book is out of print, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I never seen a PDF or anything about it, you know? I actually have an actual print copy of it. Not a first edition, but very close,
Okay.
you know? The gods in the 2000s, they was making spiral books. Remember when they was taking books and making spirals out them? They did that with the Mayor's Man, and I bought that one.
Okay.
But then I gave it away. So I ain't got that one, you know? But they ain't doing that now, you know what I mean? They ain't doing that now, you know?
I have to bring that book to Staples, God.
Yeah. Should probably break and everything. It's really like old.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I thought it was newer when I read it, but now 20 years later, I'm like, damn, look, it's beat up. And I ain't even read it. I only read it like once, you know? Yeah, we are on robots following protocol, leadership of questionable leaders. Infinite Mind said culture freedom is a real thing in this nation compared to other said nations of said ability who preach revolutionary ideas. That's right. That's right. Yeah, thank you, Malik. Thank you. That's right. Clemente, glad you're listening to Infinite Mind. That's peace. Yeah, definitely. We need to, we need to listen to everybody else's music. You know, now I'll tell you one thing that's odd though. I hear people, like making music, you notice that other people don't listen to it at all. And then they're in the nation and they're like listening to other shit. I'm like, hey, you ain't
Check my shit.
what the fuck is wrong with you, man? I began like that. I don't say no names, and I'm like, hey, man, you talking all this boom bap shit, like
Sensitive about my shit, son.
you know? I've always seen it though, because I get like that anyway, because I write about so many people. It's like, man, you listen to that, you're not listening to this I'm telling you about, you know? Right? They only want to listen to Rome Streets when West Side Gun said he was dope. Not the 3-4 years I was saying he was dope. It's like, okay. All right. Do it like that. You know? I'm gonna start listening to SD Nack now. Now he's on, should have been listening to God a long time ago.
So with Nyrane, he's still making music?
You know what? When I last spoke to Narina, he was he was commending me for actually stepping, because he knows how long I've been a hip hop journalist since 1994, and I never decided to make songs until really last year. But yeah, I don't think he's made music recently, but I think he intends to eventually. He always had talent.
That was big when he had that tiger in the video.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
memorable right there.
Yeah, that's right. You taking me back, girl. The tiger. Yeah. Always had talent. Yeah. It'd be great to hear from him, Yeah. There's some question on the questionnaire you sent, Earth, though. I can't answer all of those. I will never give grades to any album. Never. I'll never do it. Music too much music is good to be just labeling it a 4, and too many albums that'll be labeled a 4 out of 5 are different from each other. So not every 4 is the same. Plus, I never like doing that. I want you to read what I say. I don't want people to read the grade and then just skip or say some dumb shit. Oh, Sunez gave it a 3.5, and that's what he thought about it. Like, my thought is not a number. It's not that number. Like, your perception of that number is not my review. But I like that you tried to get a number out of me. It's a good shot. You tried to get a number out of me. It's all good. But honestly, if I gave you haven't made anything. Everything is, upper echelon. Let's see what else we got in here. It's good stuff here. Yeah, like that whole thing about community work. I see people like, oh yeah, he thinks he's for the community. He just gives out turkeys and Thanksgiving. And you ain't do that.
You ain't do it.
Do it once though. See how it feels though. Like, you know, and it's a good feeling to give food to people that don't have it though. And if you don't know what that feels good, then you've been living a privileged life though. Because there's days where I needed food, like, you know, shit. You know, that's how we grew up. Like, you know, the involuntary fast. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Shit. Right? Yeah, man. No, I can't be giving. No, Paul is definitely not 2 stars, you know? See, I didn't know that Infinite. He says that
Peace, God.
Infinite Mind said that Nyrene does have some new music, so we gotta go look for that. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, gotta go look for that. Malik, you did read The Art of Worldly Wisdom. Yeah, that's a good read. You know what I mean? You know, when Jizza says, it's one of the greatest lines, when he says, the immortality of my fame is the measure of others' torture.
Yeah.
That's such a dope line, but it is not his line. That's from Balthazar Gracian.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's
But it's a dope.
that makes it even more.
Yeah. So when he said that, it's like, yeah, he read that. That's why he said after that in that verse is breaker. He said he was talking about, I forgot the way the verse goes. I love that verse though. It affected. When I got knowledge, I almost quit writing because I felt like everything I wrote before was wrong and I was a little stuck. And that song, I kept listening to it because that was from 1999, around that time. And but it really inspired me. I used to write it in my journals and, you know, like just as inspire me. So he said after that, he said, burnt offer from a flaming author, the falcon who flies enough birds for the chase, strictly excel in what is excellence with grace. But this is what he said that made me write. I said, I got to just write. He said, the significance was not the vulgar applause of interest, but the feeling that exit, completion of a sentence. With age and experience, my reason ripens. I was like, wow, that shit blew me away. I was like, I'm thinking about not writing, and then he says that in the verse, and I'm like, oh damn, I gotta keep writing because I'm like, I'm not even aged. I'm not even, and it's not just for the applause of interest, people being interested. It's about completing that sentence, you know, and you fall in love with the idea of making that sentence, completing that work. Creating. I was like, yeah, I gotta write. I can't be making excuses not to, you know what I mean? Oh, that's peace, South Magnetic. Oh, okay. Chad, peace, Chad. It's been a minute. All right. Yeah. Man, King, come on. We always writing. King, when you are currently writing fire, he's always writing some fire. You know? Yeah, man. But yeah. That's right, 798. Yeah. That album, I got that album a little after I really started to deal with this knowledge of self for real. And I think in the next month, May 1st, because May 1st, 1999, that's when I first came here, you know? And that album was being rotated heavily, you know? You know, we have to spend more time creating things, trying things, you know what I'm saying? It's probably one of the big reasons why I said, you know what? I told the God King, I said, I'll make an album with you, you know? I even told my oldest, I was like, yo, they want me to make songs with them. And she was like, hey, you should try it, though. You should try something new. The kid tells you to try something new. You got to try shit, you know? So, you know. And it's been fun. Still making stuff. That's a good question, Chad. You said I really didn't appreciate training in martial arts until my late 30s. Now, mid 40s, I don't have the same energy. It's hard to train like I used to. How do you go about training as you age? All right, I'm gonna tell you. This is a hard question because I never stopped training. So I learned the martial arts when I was late in life too. I got knowledge when I was around 23. So right before I turned 25, the gods bring me to see young Bobby Whitaker, right? Black Seed. I don't know if you ever met or seen Bobby Whitaker. A lot of us gods he taught, a lot of us. And they brought me to him. And they were inviting me to go to him. And I was like, I don't know about that kick. I literally said, I don't know about that kicking stuff. That's what I said. Now I can't stop. But and I had a first daughter. I was about to have, my first daughter's on the way. So I'm like, maybe it'd be better to actually know how to use this knife I carry with me just in case, right? Like really know how to use stuff and defend myself. And I'm not really doing something physically athletic either. I used to play basketball, but I didn't make the NBA. I don't know how I didn't make the NBA. It still puzzles me. But once once the guys was there, and then I remember I was watching. I went to the we went to an advanced screening of Ghost Dog. And it was funny because when me and my twin brother we saw Ghost Dog. And this 85 dude got up and said, I don't know if you ever seen Ghost Dog, right? They got the Hagakure quotes in there. And you ought to read them. He was like, the guy got up right when there was like maybe like the third quote. And it's not like you got to read them though. Forrest Whitaker's reading them. You ain't got to read them. Right. But they show him on the screen. He goes, man, I don't like this movie. You got to read stuff. And he walked out. And I was like, yo. And I'm a newborn, right? So I'm like, my height, I was screaming 85, 85. Like I had Spidey sense. It was like, yo, that's the 85. Like he literally got up and yelled, yo, we gotta keep reading stuff. Nah. And he just walked out. And I was like, they're reading it for you. You don't have to read it. So, but after that movie, and I was like, with the RZA beats, and then doing martial arts with the RZA, I was like, nah, I gotta do this. And I was like, yo, God, when you going next to Bobby? And I was like, I'm going. And then Bobby just said, listen, all you have to do is work hard and 20 minutes a day of Kung Fu, right? Infinite Mind remembers it. 20 minutes, I said, Bobby, how do you get good at this? Because I asked him, like, Bobby, does this, cost anything? Because I ain't really got it. And he goes, you don't have to pay me anything, but you better work hard every single time I see you. And I was like, man, that's currency I got. I got that currency. And then he was like, but how long I should do it a day? He said, do 20 minutes a day. So like in my regular training, I do weight training and I do, calisthenics, jump rope, all of that. None of that shit counts. After that, then 20 minutes. Then 20 minutes is Kung Fu, And I could say since I started learning at the very last week of 2000, I have done that at least 4 days a week for these last 23 years, whatever it is, you know what I mean? So it's that simple. But sometimes you move and you don't have that energy, you don't have the same commitment though. That means you got to build up the body in a certain way where you really activate the body. The body's not activated. That's why I don't move. That's one. And the one mentality to have though is that it's never you. It's the solution isn't found yet. When it comes, I never say I'm old. I never say it's something else. It's a solution I haven't found. And I always realize that if it's the body, then give the body really strong things, Like, for example, I'm going to list some things, right, that I do, right? There's good quality protein powder, quality meals, right? Ration meals, right? The fasting is proper. Almost I probably am intermittent fasting really every day of the week until I go extended, Even when I eat more, it's still intermittent fasting, Chlorophyll powders, drink chlorophyll powders, B complex. A lot of times you could not have enough nutrients, the B complex, and you don't have energy. That gives you energy if you're not having it, the B complex. Maybe you need better immune system. You get your zinc. Other things, there's other things for the body. Like I tried this for a while when I was injured. And coenzyme Q10 was really helping me. I was feeling it though, like the injury was not as intense. And I've gotten injuries like that before, so I already knew what it would do. And it healed much quicker, where I didn't feel it so much. You know what I'm saying? Also, too, sometimes the exercises that you do for the body to get you to the Kung Fu is not really activating your body, though. So you got to activate all the parts. You got to do the squats for real. You know, people do squats, so they do them half-assed, though. You know, if they do them in the gym, maybe they put too much weight and they're doing a half squat. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how much weight you put if you can't master the weight. You know, I had put this a couple of weeks ago. I said I would put the video up back in, it was in 2018. I recorded it. But like a couple, from like 017 to like 019, I was benching 100-pound dumbbells, 15, 20 reps. And I was doing it like, what was it? Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 3 times a week. That shit did not build the muscle quality as I expected. It was breaking the body, right? It was so heavy, and I wasn't really controlling it perfectly because you could see the clip. I was like, you know, when you get that first rep, it's like, it could kill me if I drop it and, and get it up, right? But it wasn't giving me the quality, you know, the quality of muscle. So you have to learn how to actually do exercises that activate everything, the biceps properly, the triceps, the deltoids. You know what I'm saying? When you do your squats, though, look, a simple, if you just say, this is a long time. If you just say, listen, I'm going to time it 5 minutes, no weights, nothing. Just do deep squats, though, for 5 minutes. That will kill you right there. Like, it works. But you got to be feeling it, though. You got to be feeling it. How do I put my feet in a position where my thighs get all of the burn? Because sometimes you may not be activating because your position is wrong. Too wide, feet not right. How does it go? So you have to do things that, when you're training, you got to do things that activate the feel of the muscle. So you feel it again. You're into it again. So I don't do push-ups. I'll do like 500 push-ups. There were times where I was counting off 10 minutes. I was able to do in 10 minutes 1,000 push-ups. You know what I mean? But they was rapid fire. And then after a while, I was like, the workout is too long. So I was like, I'm going to do 5 minutes, but just do them all negatives. Man, I felt like He-Man after 5 minutes like that.
That's when you start down.
I'm just going real slow. I'm just doing them as slow as I can, you know? So like 20 reps is taking me for like a long time. And after that, though, everything is activated. If you got to activate everything, you got to feel the connection with everything, then everything starts, you know? Because when you do your martial art, you throw out kicks. Let's say like you're doing a kick drill and you're throwing out kicks 10, 10, 10, right? You're doing it half hours. You're going to hyperextend it. You throw it out the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? You're not really focused and you don't feel everything together. You don't feel everything together. So the hips aren't working with this. Everything feels like separate parts. You know what I mean? So all of these things count when you're doing your martial arts, though. And so when you're doing your martial arts, though, too, whatever style you have, you got to really feel the style. Like, it's got to be actually you, you know? So a lot of times if I don't feel it, though, like, I'll just, like, people see the Instagram, you're only going to share the fly shit, the fly shit. Like, I'll be in the front of the dummy, and I'll just be like this. Like, that's a real person. This guy's trying to kill me and shit. I'll put my hand up, and I stay like this. But then now, see, I'm like this, right? What if it's a little bit more like this? So what if I, you know what I mean? I'm doing this for like 5 whole minutes, though. I'll be doing that, though, you know? And in the house, like, obviously my daughters, they used to, you know, me just doing weird things, but they'll be talking to me, and I'll just be like, and doing the same thing, but totally different ways. So the hand could be here, or here, or here, or here, and then I'm like, oh, no, it's too close. Right? Like, how you do it? Oh, I just, you know, right? All these things, like just feeling how you move. Like, what is you? What is, you know, what is the way that Chad moves? Like, how does he move? You know what I'm saying? Right? How's his gonna go? You know? And you gotta find that. You gotta find what connects with you. Because the whole point of it, yeah, we got the kicks and punches, we got the technique, but if something happens, though, how can you be you immediately? you know, and you know, survive the situation. Right? Oh, yeah, this is. Oh, yeah, let me go back. I want to read. Infinite shared his story here. And Peace, God. Let me see what. Yeah. I didn't start training with Bobby till I was already 5 months deep with 3 treasures. That's right. Yeah. So I went pre-prepared. K-Born was the one that brought me. Right. First time training with Bobby, he had me do a sideways split as far as I could and just talk to me for almost 20 minutes. I almost fainted a few times, but he wouldn't let me faint. That's Bobby stuff. That's not even what he made me do. So the way the Father taught was said to teach uniquely to individuals. Bobby ended up teaching us that way too, so it correlated very well with us. You know, when he had me, I can show some of it here. He had me do this, and it made no sense to me, but I had to walk and do this. This made no sense at the time of doing it, but I don't know. He just had me do that. But then he does this. I'm thinking I'm learning some hungar, some real hands, right? He has me do leg kicks and sweeps, and he teaches me legs for a few weeks, and I got no hand skills. I don't know what to do with my hands at all. I'm not even putting them up because I don't know how to put them up, you know? So it's like he had a different way of teaching us all, you know? How body type, all that kind of stuff, and just seeing how we move and stuff, you know? And when he taught us the animal styles, he was picking animals because he taught other people animals that he didn't teach me. Like, he didn't teach me crane. What do I look like trying to be a big bird? You know? So he was teaching me, like, swiftness, low center of gravity stuff, you know? And he was teaching everybody else other stuff. Because out of all of us in the 2 treasures, I was the shortest one, which is not unique. I'm usually, you know, I've never fought any. I was telling somebody, I never fought anybody that was my height or shorter. Everybody's been not even like, damn, it's like only the tallest people got beef, you know what I mean? You know? Can't fight nobody 5'7" or something like that. They gotta be 5'10", 6 feet. You know what I mean? Like, you always gotta be a problem, you know? But that's what it was, you know what I mean? But yeah, see, learning the martial arts and all these things, these were things that the gods hooked up with Bobby because they was always out there seeing what was going on. And the original gods, King He and Knowledge Eternal, that met Bobby and were his first students, they was out in the street. They was out building and they met up with him. So people was out in the street. Like when we met, he passed away recently. He returned recently, but Marvin Gatling, you know, you see it now though. I forget what they call it though, but they sell it where you got the 2 bars and you're stretching with the rubber bands, right? They got that now and they're selling it for some other name. I forgot what it was, but that's the toy. And that's what Marvin Gatling called it. Knowledge Seed was military man, brolic. Like this guy was all muscle. I don't even think he didn't have any, he was solid, the most solid. Like you didn't want to bump into him, you could hurt yourself. That's how solid he was. And he was Black Seed, and he just was real. He was so peace. And Saving Knowledge brought me to him, and he was like, God, you doing Kung Fu, so you got to know him. And I was like, oh, who's him? And, you know, and he's got the toy, and he's like, I do. And he would have his, but they would have so many rubber bands on it. And he was like, he was like, you can't do it yet, so do this one. And he was impressed that I was able to stretch it out and hold it. Because I always worked out before I became martial arts. I was in good shape. And so it continued onward. But then when he showed the one that he used, God, that looked like it had 100 bands on it. And he was stretching that out and just holding it. And it was a lot of isometric movement. So it might be isometric hold, but then you move it this way. And so it was like a bench. It's like a bench press. He would turn it in, put your hand in. And all you do is get 2 sticks. Mine's is literally from an old weighted jump rope. Because you know the weighted jump rope have thick handles? It's a weighted jump rope, and I kept the handles, put rubber bands around the bottom, top, and have it. Because the toy that I had bought from him was like a plexiglass bars. But I broke that a long
Is
time
there
ago.
a specific type of rubber band you should use? Like what prevents it
I would,
from
there's a
popping like
thickness.
that?
You don't get the thin ones. You get kind of the thick ones that are like as thick as my finger, or maybe a little bit thicker. If you get them too thin, they break. If you get them too big, they break too. So like the middle ground is like the perfect stretch, you know, and like maybe 2 or 3 on them, you know. But you adjust though, because sometimes you want the stretch to be here,
Right.
other times you want it here, and you adjust. And all the motions. He had biceps. He had this. He would around the world with it. You get the deltoid here. Like he was doing everything. We would do circles with it.
I forgot what they called it.
We were doing everything. Yeah, there's a guy that sells it. He's like a
Muslim dude,
Yeah, he does the calisthenics really good, you know. But he be acting like he invented the wheel and stuff. I'm like, dude, like, you know, like you ain't made that up, you know. Yeah, but what was it? Infinite Mind said, I remember getting to a squabble on 125th. The dude punched me in the face after a failed iron broom, and Sunez jumped in and put dude in a headlock. What was funny though is that the guy was taller than Sunez, so to see Sunez jump on him had me laughing inside the middle of the fight. Yeah. Yo, that was crazy though. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, what was it? It was the Nubian cats, you know, disrespecting, you know. You know, Infinite Mind wasn't trying to hit that shit. You know what I mean? And then other people tried to stop us, and that was what was funny because they tried to stop us from because we was winning. So we're the ones that are evil because we're the ones winning. Some dreadlock brother comes and tries to take Wise Ramel off. Wise Ramel threw him against the window of the Disney store. That was a Disney store. That shit didn't break, but then like I'm dealing with this dude. I look and I see the dude way tall. This guy had to be like 6'3" or something, you know, but skinny.
Yeah.
Rasta cliche, right? Goes and just flies, bangs against his whole body, just bangs against the you know, Rasta cliche, you know, skinny, like, you know, it's all that. But yeah, that was funny though. The funniest thing for me was that I told the guys we gotta go, and then I picked up my hat. I put it on. Back then, I was obsessed with wearing army hats. Before, people were saying it was just the Kemet MCs that used them. I had all the colors though, and I had the tan joint. Picked it up. We walked. The police are coming directly at us, and we're walking away from the fight. And we're walking toward the cops. And as the cops come, I go to the cop, and it's a female cop. I go, listen, there's a fight back there. It's crazy. You gotta do something. And it was us. It was doing shit. But I said that, so we kept moving. It was crazy. It was crazy. And it was funny because I said that, and then Wise he gives 2 fucks. We get farther down the block. He turns around and he's just so hyped. He goes, the way I remember it is like this. He turned around and he goes, you don't fuck with the gods. Like this, like Hulk stuff. You know, he did. It was Hulk stuff. It was like, it was hilarious though, yo. But man, Wise and Infinite, they're the best to have in a fight. They, you know, they show you they're your brothers though. They was with it from. They didn't run away. They was with it.
Right. And
we was like, we didn't even take out the weapons though. The book bag was filled with the weapons, but now we was like, we can handle it though. But it was it was funny, man. That was funny. You know? Yeah, man. I feel like the kid that I had in the headlock, he had some cornrows though. 'Cause I remember grabbing the head like that.
Yeah.
And when I brought him like that, that's, you know. Right. But I let him go because I felt mercy. I was like, damn, I can't do this dude like this, you know? And then I let him go, and then he kind of like disintegrated and stopped and stuff. And then it was Wise that was just beating ass. Crazy. They was like, yo, Wise, we gotta go. Yeah, that was crazy. But back then, like, we got this, and we was like, yo, the first thing we do, we're gonna protect Mecca. So we was going to tables. Like, I remember, it was funny. I remember I had a suit on, and I was with Knowledge Eternal and some of the other gods, and they told us that they were selling lessons. And we went up to the table, and we was about to overturn the whole shit, but I had a suit on and shit like that. So I said, hold on, let me do this. And I go to the table, and since I had the suit on, I said, listen, representation right around the block there, 5%. You know, you're selling facsimiles of our stuff and everything. You gotta take this off. You're gonna have to give this to me. You know, my brothers here, they're not gonna be so kind to this. You know, so I did the soft stuff because I got the suit on and stuff.
Right.
You know, and you know, if they have to come here to the table, if they come more, they're not gonna really be. They're gonna know that what I said didn't take very well.
Right.
Right? And they go, I'll stop. No, you can't just stop though. You're gonna have to give me all this stuff. You have to give all these books, everything. You have to give me all this shit. These flags, these flags that are not right and exact. They was like our flags, but like bizarro looking. Like they was looking horrible. Like he was just trying to sell stuff. Like yeah, and it was like you're gonna have to give us everything. And then slowly, then they start walking closer and closer. He starts packing up and packing everything up, giving it to me, and we took it. You know, but and it's funny because our emotions were different. Like if I wasn't dressed in the suit and if I was dressed in the kung fu shit, I probably wouldn't have wanted to do that. I probably wouldn't have wanted to throw the table. You know, because that's how he was back then. You know, we was thinking like that. You know, but it's like this knowledge. Like we were really empowered though. We felt like we knew we was the true and living. We knew we could change stuff. I was with Day's son, and we would be like in the magazines. We knew that we was the ones that was running all this hip hop. We knew everybody wanted to know what we had and be like us. You know what I mean? And then we're out on the street, you know, and we was willing to battle anybody. If the Moors came up and said, "There's no such thing as black" and shit like that, we was like, "No, it's like," you know, everybody was getting bombed. Everybody, we was ready to go in. You know what I mean? All of that, you know. It was nice. You know. But that's what this. I'm telling you, in the summer in the school, it just has to be open. People come and do stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying, but like let's say they got bring turntables. You start just boom, boom. You know, people start coming. They start saying, "Oh, this is the gods." You know what I mean? A lot of the people that get the knowledge when I was here, it's people that just was in the neighborhood and they just keep seeing stuff happening, and you start telling them stuff, and then they start talking back to you and say, "Yo, today's was the build." Yeah, you're like, "Yeah, that's right, young brother." Right, and then they, you know, and they keep coming back and stuff, and you just get them slowly. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's like when I'm teaching the kids kung fu and stuff like that. After a while, they're not even greeting me. They're like, "Hey," you know, they're like, "Peace." You know, they're like, "Peace." You know, you change their whole greetings, you change their whole mentality. But I feel like because the way the world is now, the youth are more embedded in the laptops, embedded in the social media, through the tech into the world, than be through the tech. Say, we're doing this here, we're doing that there. You know what I mean? And then we do it. You know what I'm saying? Because with this algorithm, though, so many great things pass you by because you don't know they exist. You know? To me, the algorithm is less useful, you know? Infinite Mindset, yeah, it was good cop, back up, yeah. Yeah,
I was thinking
definitely
that
good
shit
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, man. G1, peace of the God. You said, what do you think of this bar, God? Oh, he's throwing me a bar. Let's see. He said, I'm not 85 or 5, 85 or 5, but know the truth. I'm into 10%. I'm into 10% of what you recoup. Oh, that was Lord John Monte Ogben. Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah. He's not in this nation though. I know some people he's around though, but I haven't been able to meet him. I think he's from North Carolina or something. You know, I like the way he said that. I'm into 10% of what you recoup. That's clever. I feel like nobody's allowed to flip our shit. I'll be frowning on the bars though. I'll be like, yeah. Even when I write though, I'll be like, yeah, he tried to flip something. You know, you gotta be in this shit. But it's clever though, you know. Now I can't. If I catch him eating some swine, I'll be like, nah, what the fuck you doing? Dio said we certain generation had to deal with the proliferation of gangs. We were more militant than expected, as you got guards at the time. Yeah, yeah. I would say this though, that this generation though, they're extremely smart though. You know, they're extremely smart. And when you send them on a research to find research though, they really research well. You know, think about it. They learn faster and stuff. You know, just my kid messing with YouTube, she sees more things than I've ever seen at that age.
Right, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I didn't even, you know, because he's obsessed with watching like little hacks and people do things like that. And I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that. Like, I'm seeing stuff I didn't even know how it worked, or just visuals, you know, because it's always good to get new visuals, you know? So, you know, like I said, everything has to be funneled and directed, you know? You said, as I do my teaching practice school to youth in South Africa without knowledge itself, and there's no peace between teachers and students. And I see a great need for the knowledge here. Yeah, that's how you do it, one bit at a time. You know what I'm saying? Student to student. You know what I'm saying? All of that. Well, if you're being the true and living God in a cipher, it changes the way everybody behaves, even the 85. You know what I'm saying? You know? King, you said I'm gonna be on point all the time. That's my Alma's on point. Yeah, I'm be on point. You know. People think because I have daughters that I'm easy on them. I be hard on them as hell. I be hard on them. Man. You gotta be right and exact. Yeah. So I said I would be here until 8:30. It is 8:30 now, so I'm about to flee the scene. If anybody's any questions, Sunez97, SUNEZ97 at gmail.com. I never use that YouTube Incorporated. I don't, you know. But if you really want to learn with me, though, it's after class, though, that we start to build, really. The things that are directly particular to you. You know what I mean? Like the God builds with me all the time. Build with me, contact me and stuff, too. You know what I'm saying? All right? So, King, what was the question? Oh, man, I missed it. That's because I missed it, not because I didn't want to answer it. King, can you post that question again? I don't give you King a minute. Do you have any plus lesson notes for the 140? Yeah, no, I'm working on 1 to 10 first. Then I'm going to do 1 to 14, 40. Maybe I'll do solar astro. You should be able to research that on your own. But definitely for those 3 sets. But I'm going to start with the 1 to 10. I don't have a 1 to 40 yet. But when me and you build, we're going to go deep into that. And of course, though, that's what we listen to now. We're listening to the new King Kamal album, Paul. We're listening to the new double album from King Kamal. He got 2 albums out this year. We're listening to Infinite Mind Zood 7 out EP, which is, I can't wait to hear it. I have to hear it when I'm really relaxed and I want to bang it out. The Earth Backwards Sweetie got albums out and she got a new one coming. So it's great. A lot of great music out. I got something, but we ain't going to talk about it now because it ain't ready yet. All right. So until next time, until next week, peace.